Hi, welcome to Beyond the Highlights. I'm your host today, John Thiede, and joining me today is the University of Michigan-Dearborn campus basketball coach Taylor Langley. Thank you for joining us today in our studio.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of stuff going on, March Madness. So we're going to fill this 30 minutes with a lot of basketball talk. But I want to start with you, with the program in Dearborn. Obviously, your third season here at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, and the most successful season in this program.
Yeah, we've been around for about 42 years now, and we had 20 wins this year, which is the most wins in school history. It's been a pretty fun ride for these 3 years, and get to see these kids come in and watch them grow and get better, and we've had a really special season this year, and hopefully we can build off that moving forward.
Now, what's exciting for me is a Michigan State graduate of 08. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you make that transition from the Red Cedar River down to the champions of the West?
I'll tell you what, I take a lot of flack from my college buddies sometimes, but it's been great. The University of Michigan, Dearborn has been great to me, and I wanted the opportunity to be a college coach, and there's only so many opportunities that are ever going to come around when you're in this profession.
Right.
And when I had the opportunity, I had to take it. And like I said, being a Spartan and watching the Michigan and Michigan State football games, those are very interesting, because sometimes I remember the year of the fumble and the return for a touchdown there. I was actually all decked out in my University of Michigan gear because I had just come back from a practice that we had, and I was jumping up and down in the middle of my living room screaming as Michigan State was returning the touchdown and joy. And I was sitting with my girlfriend, Ashley, and she looked at me, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" Because I'm wearing all University of Michigan gear and cheering for Michigan State at the top of my lungs. So it's a bit, I get conflicted sometimes. But right now I'm just happy to be part of the University of Michigan-Dearborn and coaching where I'm at.
So sometimes it's a house divided, actually. We have that husband and wife sometimes that went to one school. You're torn because you graduated from one and you have to work for the other.
It's definitely a house divided. Ashley, she's my other half, and she's a huge Michigan State fan. So nice. It's definitely house divided right now.
Well, so now with University of Dearborn and Michigan, right there, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference you guys play in. So let's talk about that conference a little bit.
Yeah, this is the best the conference has been. I've been in the conference for 7 years, both as an assistant coach and as a head coach. And this year, the conference was as good from top to bottom as I can ever remember it being. I can never remember a time when the bottom 3 teams, record-wise in the league, could come up and beat one of the top 3 teams, which happened on several occasions. So it's a great conference. We've had a lot of Final Four teams in the last 7 years come out of our conference. It's incredibly competitive basketball, and I think our showing, cornerstone from our conference, actually made it all the way to the national championship game this year and lost by 3, I believe, to Union College. So another great showing for our conference, and it's a really high-level basketball, and I hope people can come out and see some more of it. So
since this is the most successful wins for the University of Michigan-Dearborn, what's the attendance been like now? That's got to pep up the students to come in and enjoy basketball.
We had some great crowds at the end of the year. We're a really close-knit community in our department. Our athletic department really sticks together. Our teams get out and they support each other and they come to the games. And we have a really close group of family, the players' families, moms, dads, cousins, brothers, all that kind of stuff that come to the game, and they're great fans. I think the actual student body, I think a lot of them are starting to realize that we have great athletics, and hopefully we can build on that and get more of those students to come and just casually come by, watch the game, have a good time, because it's a great college atmosphere at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, and with our athletic department getting better, I mean, we had a lot of teams who are getting better. Our hockey team went to the national tournament this year as well. So is our softball team's been really good for the last several years. Soccer's gotten better. We've had a lot of programs on the upward trend. And so hopefully if we continue to win, we'll get more people in the seats.
Okay, good. And so talk a little bit about your background. Obviously, you went to Macomb College. You were a walk-on and then achieved to be the captain of the team.
Yeah. I actually coached before I ever went to college. I started coaching with my dad when I was 18 years old. He was a football coach at Romeo High School, and he was the freshman football coach for several years. And I was an 18-year-old kid who didn't know what I was going to do. And he's like, "Why don't you come coach football in the fall?" And I did, and then that led to, I just fell in love with it, first of all. And then that led to an opportunity with a basketball coach that I knew. And when I decided that I could do this for a career, I realized very few coaches who didn't play college basketball had an opportunity to coach. So I had to go and find a way to get on a college basketball team. So I tried out for Macomb because that's where I was taking classes at the time, and I made the team. I shouldn't have. I was so out of shape and such a bad player at the time. I was no good. But the coach saw that I was working really hard. Henry Washington has been a great mentor for me in my life, and he gave me an opportunity, gave me a jersey, and then by that next year I was named team captain and earned a scholarship. So that was a pretty cool experience for me to see what that hard work pays off, and allows me to justify a lot of the lessons I try to teach my team now as a coach. But yeah, that was my experience at Macomb Community College.
And with your team here at University of Michigan-Dearborn, Marcus William, one of your seniors, Jason Penn, a junior, got some awards this year.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose the senior, but you
Sure.
have a relatively young team. So where do you see yourself when you lose a guy like Marcus Williams, and who's going to step up? Will Penn be that man who steps up, and you got some young guys to fill those shoes?
Sure. First of all, Marcus was unbelievable for us. I remember Marcus chose us over one of the top schools in our league when I recruited him. That was the summer I got the job. So I'll be in debt to him forever for giving me a chance on some young coach who didn't have any experience. And he got first team All-League this year and All-American honorable mention. And I'll be honest, when you lose a kid like that, you can't really replace him.
Right.
You hope that other guys are going to step up. There's no, lose this All-American and insert the next one here. It doesn't work that way. But you hope some other guys step up and fill his shoes and his role, and not just from what he did from a basketball standpoint, but what he did from a leadership standpoint and the work ethic and the stuff that he did with the community and the other aspects that he did such a great job with. But Jason Penn also was a first-team All-League player for us and an All-American, and he's 6'8". He's a big fella.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", 230, big, strong kid, and he works incredibly hard. And I don't know that there's a better, back to the basket player in our league than him. So having him come back next year, he's definitely going to be a big centerpiece of our offense and a big part of what we do. The thing about Jason and Marcus, honestly, is they're both really unselfish. And they were kind of reluctant scorers. They score the ball, but they're not the type of player who demands the ball all the time, wants to get shots, and they were team first guys. And as long as we keep that culture and maintain that culture, I think we're going to be okay.
So no doubt in your mind, you should be able to pick up where you left off this year and just reaching a higher plateau.
I hope so. I mean, we lose two seniors, and Marcus and Jeff Kane, who was a great leader for us, great senior leader. But we have a lot of talented players coming back, and I had a couple kids who were actually redshirting this year who I think might be some of the best players in the league. Once they get on the court next year. So we'll find out, because you never know until you get them out in the court and see them play. But they're pretty talented.
All right, so let's jump in a car and head 30 miles west of here, and we're going to go to Ann Arbor. Now, March Madness.
Sure.
As of today's taping, obviously Michigan's in the Sweet 16. What an unbelievable tournament they have. After almost getting in a serious plane incident, they go into the Big Ten tournament and just clean up house, and now they're in March Madness, and I think they're a little bit farther than teams thought they would go.
Yeah, basketball is an unbelievable sport like that at the college level. You could be, doesn't matter where you finish, as long as you make the conference tournament, you always have a chance. And obviously everybody kind of heard what they went through, going through that crash and playing in a Big Ten tournament in their practice uniforms. And I think when something like that happens to a team, it brings them closer together, and it kind of puts things in perspective. And they're playing great basketball right now. One thing about them, they're so tough because they put 5 guys out on the floor who can shoot it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guard that. That's pretty tough. I mean, they space the floor so well with their offense, and I think they only had, 27, 28 points at halftime against Louisville, and then that had a huge second half.
Like doubled in the second half.
They doubled that. So, their ability to shoot, their ability to score the basketball always keeps them in any game.
And obviously Zach Irvin and Derek Walton solidify and just cement that 5 on the floor. And then, you have all these other guys chipping in. Like, there's a new hero every game, it seems. And Wagner the other night, just everything he was doing. And then DJ Wilson as a freshman steps up. But without Irvin and Walton, where would that team be? I mean, those guys, I think, bring the pace down,
Sure.
right?
Well, Walton's been playing unbelievable. I mean, the leadership he's showing on the court. He's making so many clutch plays at huge moments in the game. Whenever they need a big play, he makes it. And it's not always a shot. Sometimes it's a pass, or he creates for somebody else, or he gets to the free throw line. He's just making play after play after play right now. And I think when you have an opportunity to make a tournament run, your point guard's got to be a huge part of that. And their point guard play, I don't know if anybody's got better. UCLA may make an argument for that, but there's not many teams in the country that have better point guard play right now than University of Michigan with Derek Walton.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I think a lot of people get confused. They have a shooting guard and a point guard, where that shooting guard's probably the most talented with his hands and the ball, where that point guard is good at getting the ball to those guys and running that floor, calling the plays. And I don't think a lot of people realize when you hear point guard and shooting guard.
Yeah. As a coach, when I evaluate those two positions for recruiting, I look at them completely differently. Obviously, the more guys you can shoot, that can shoot on the basketball floor at a time, the better. It's always better, but that's not the number one factor for a point guard. Like you said, it's getting guys involved. It's the leadership qualities, the intangibles, there's a tempo to a basketball game, and if you get out of tempo and out of rhythm, you're not going to be playing very good basketball and making a whole lot of shots. And point guards have to understand that and find a way to create that tempo and create that rhythm as the game goes on. And like you said, I think Michigan is doing a pretty good job of that right now.
And prior to airing, we talked about that, about Michigan coming out and just hitting the threes, which made Louisville kind of have to commit to a three, and they would just get rattled and go down and miss. But then Michigan would get the composure back, get the ball, slow it down, and then march right down and shoot another three.
Yeah.
So I think that was exciting, to watch Michigan and what Beeline has done with this team. And you mentioned before about how much he lends the experience to you guys too.
Yeah, Coach Beeline and his staff's been great to us. Being a University of Michigan branch school and being a strong connection there in terms of what we believe in with our academics and our service, our community service, and the different things that we do as programs. He lets us into his practices. He lets us watch what they do. I've got to sit down and see how they do things, and he is an unbelievable coach. I can tell you that. You always think you know a lot until you see somebody who knows a lot more than you. And I learned that I got a lot to learn. I got to sit down and watch practice right before the Big Ten tournament, before they actually got on that plane crash. And the way he was teaching his guys the fundamentals of the game was just at another level. I've seen a lot of great coaches coach, and I've seen a lot of great coaches talk at clinics and things like that. But to watch him work, you can see why they've had the success that they've had at the University of Michigan, and before that at West Virginia with him.
Now, can your players come out into the practices too? Do they sometimes mix to give some of that experience?
No, we haven't done that. We haven't done that. I don't think they have so many guys and they know what they're doing and they have their systems. I think we do things differently than they do to some degree. So we have never done that. But I try to take back what I see them doing and bring it back to our guys and implement it in our practices, and see how that affects us as a team and helps us improve.
Now, do you have plans with your team to watch this if Michigan makes it to the big game? Are you guys going to get together and watch this as a team if Michigan continues on to the road to Phoenix?
We do some things like that every once in a while where we get together as a team and watch games. If they keep winning, I think I'll probably be hosting a dinner at my house for my guys. Because they're big Michigan fans, and we actually got a couple guys like me on our team that are actually Michigan State fans too. So even our team is divided when it comes to that. But they have a huge task in front of them, to win this weekend. Obviously the game they have coming up is going to be.
And Oregon's going to be a tough game. I think they were seeded 3 in Oregon, but I think people didn't think they didn't get by Louisville.
Sure.
So I think I think every team's even. I think when you go in a tournament like this, it's who plays those best minutes, the 40 minutes, and see what happens. But in regards to MSU, they did make the tournament and beat a couple teams. Fortunately, they just couldn't get through that next round. But
when
you lose guys,
sure.
So
I watched Kansas. I watched that Kansas game. That Kansas team that might be my pick.
Well, I have one of those, my Final Four. And speaking of that, so when you talk about the road to Phoenix in this tournament, I don't think there's really been any big upsets. I think everything's kind of going to the brackets, except Villanova.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wisconsin from the Big Ten beats Villanova, so they don't get a chance to repeat. But even though Wisconsin had a steady season, so it's not like it's a big upset.
Sure. I think the Big Ten was a little underseeded.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about how the Big
Ten
was down and how they weren't as good this year. And I thought that they may have been just better, but better from top to bottom. Maybe their top teams weren't as good as some of the top teams they've had in the past, but you got Northwestern that's coming out of nowhere all of a sudden, and they made the tournament this year. So that used to be a guaranteed win for some of those top teams in the past. Now you got it, and Minnesota is another team that made the tournament this year. So now all of a sudden some of these teams that perennially were at the bottom of the Big Ten, now they're up there near the top. So it makes the conference tougher. Every single night you got to come to play. And I think it's showing in the tournament with three teams in the Sweet 16. I think the Big Ten's flexing that Big Ten muscle a little bit, showing that we're a little bit stronger than people thought we were.
Yeah, and you made that comment about Northwestern never even being there. And the first time that they make it to that March Madness had to just be a thrill. And then Xavier, look at Xavier coming out of nowhere, and they're in the Sweet 16.
Yep. So
you have some of the teams that and I wouldn't call it upset, I don't think. I mean, because, even though they're seated in that bracket, but I like to see teams like that. And sometimes you get the number one teams that are just moving all the way forward, but, you still have, I believe, Duke, Kansas, and North Carolina, who are the number one seeds, I believe, and then you have Villanova gone. But that was I think my four was Duke, Arizona, Kansas, and North Carolina. I picked North Carolina to win it all, but with Michigan in it, I'd like to see Michigan go all the way. I would gladly see my bracket go haywire just to see the Michigan get up there.
Sure.
In the way they're playing ball. Penalty-wise, they're not making those penalties and giving the other team the free throws. You see Michigan playing a tight defense. They're not giving up the sloppy penalties, which is probably helping them.
Yeah, they play defense without fouling really well. I think it aggravates some coaches because some coaches believe in more aggressive defense than they play. But I think Beilein's a smart man. He understands that if you keep the team off the free throw line and you keep the opponent from getting a lot of easy buckets. That means layups, things around the basket. It's tough to beat you. That could be good, especially as good as their offense is. Because one thing that's underrated is when you play really good offense, that helps your defense. Because if you're making shots, now you're getting back and you're getting set. If you're making shots and you're having good possessions, like you said, other teams may press. They may try to force something that's not there and take some bad shots. And I think that's all been working in their favor so far in the tournament.
Well, I think that's something with Michigan's defense too is they're so big that you have to get the ball over their guys.
Yes.
And that's something you just watch Michigan set up. And when you talk about that on the defense, obviously zone and man-to-man, as a coach, are you always switching in that game? Do you try to stay a zone? Do you stay a man-to-man? Or does it depend on who you're playing?
I think it really depends on the opponent. The way we play, again, like Michigan, we run a little bit of 1-3-1, and we run a lot of man-to-man defense. We have a couple other zones that we run, but I think you got to switch it up from occasionally just to keep that team off balance and keep them out of rhythm. And Michigan, has great length, and that's one thing. At our level for our team, we have great length too. Next year we're going to have guys who are all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". They're all in that range. So when you have great length, like you said with the University of Michigan, that can create a lot of advantages for you. Get some deflections and get some steals and make it tough to get easy shots.
So as a coach, obviously, when you're recruiting, you need that size.
Sure.
Because we were talking about even in this tournament, you get some of these schools that squeeze into this March Madness and they can three-point you to death.
Yeah.
They can hit the three-pointers, but they don't have that under the board game. They're not going to be able to go against size and take the rebounds away. So it's got to be tough as a coach because you need that size under the boards, but you need those guys that could maybe just cherry pick you and hit the three-pointers all day too, right?
It's great when you find guys with both.
Yeah.
Then you're in really good shape.
Well, mixed talent of those five on the court, yeah.
That goes really well. But, I think at our level, it's a lot more based upon skill. I think at the highest Division I level, I think it's really based on size, athleticism, speed, because if you're short and a step slow, you can never get that shot off anyway. And a lot of those guys, fall down to our level, the NAI level, and I would make the argument that at some schools and at some institutions, the skill level might even be higher than a lot of Division I schools, but you're not going to see the same level of athleticism and length and size and speed that you just see at the Division I level.
Now, would you say that the Michigan team worked on inbounding a little bit after was that DJ Wilson?
Yeah.
After that debacle right there?
Oh, I think it was Zach Irvin. But yeah, I think it was Irvin. Yeah, I'm sure they did, but
Would that be caused mostly from the press of Louisville, though? I mean, when they're trying to get the ball in, and how many seconds is it in college to get through?
You get 10.
10 versus, 8 in the NBA?
8 in the NBA,
and so it's got to be tough. And trying to get the ball to a guy, and you could see the frustration probably on Beeline's face when you turn the ball over with those few seconds left on the clock when Louisville was chipping back.
You're talking about one of the best pressing teams in all of college basketball. Coach Pitino is one of the best pressing coaches, maybe in the history of college basketball. So I'm sure that press is pretty intimidating, and they had some of the most athletic players probably in the entire tournament that are coming at you in that press. So I thought Michigan, they made that big mistake, but I thought they rebounded pretty well from it.
Yeah, they recovered quickly.
Yeah.
Now, do you like the one and done? Obviously, March Madness would go on until April and May if you changed it, but that's just tough, the one and done, because most sports, even in NBA, when you're in those finals, you're playing the best of 5, best of 7 in baseball. Yeah. But football and basketball, it's the one and done, and it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know how coaches plan long term with that, because you recruit this recruit and thinking this recruit's going to be here 4 years, okay? But then along the line, you got this recruit that's going to be here just for 1. So how do you plan that long term to know what type of team you're going to have year in and year out? And I think you kind of see it with some schools, because every once in a while you have a school that'll make a big jump and a big run in the tournament with the one and dones. But then when those guys all leave, they may only make the NIT next year because they lose all that talent. But then the next year they're going to get one and dones again, so they'll be back in the tournament. So I don't think it's bad for college basketball necessarily. I think it's better than having guys go in the NBA draft and never getting to see them play. I mean, imagine Michigan State without Miles Bridges this year. They would have really struggled.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. I'm sure the Michigan State fans like me would like to see a guy like Miles Bridges stay a second year, but that's probably not going to happen.
Right. And it's always, even in basketball, it seemed when you're watching some of the tournament, maybe a minute to 2 left in a game, and a team's down by 11 or 12, and I don't know what goes to that coach on the sidelines, but to me it almost seemed like the game is over, because you know what's going to happen. You make a basket, you're going to foul the other team.
Yeah.
But it seems like in that minute or 2, teams are coming back, and it's a matter of 2 points or 4 points, and you're thinking, what happens in that? And as a coach, if you're up by those 11 or 12 points with a minute and a half to go, and all of a sudden, you're making your buckets, but then the team follows you, and maybe you miss those free throws, and now that 12-point lead's gone to 4. How do you bring your team back in? When you call that timeout to try to cool your team down, what do you tell them?
Man, I tell you what, it sounds like you're in good shape when you're up 12, but you're really not. I think that's probably when I'm most nervous as a coach. That's when I feel the most anxiety, because man, if you let this slip away, you really screwed it up. That's how people are. That's how you look at it as a coach. But I think you just got to get your guys calm. If they see that you're nervous, if they see that you're uncomfortable, they're going to be nervous. They're going to be uncomfortable. I think at that point in the game, yelling and screaming is not going to solve a whole lot. I think you just got to bring everybody in and understand that, hey guys, relax, just take a breath. This is our game. We put ourselves in the position to win this game, and all we got to do is take care of the basketball, make free throws, and we're good to go.
Because, in those games, you see them team up by 10 or 12, and the players are getting pumped on the court, and you look at the clock and say, God, it's over. Yeah. But then just things happen.
It's never over.
The ball off your foot goes out, turns it over, missing the inbound pass, and all of a sudden that 10-point lead falls to 4. And that's probably got to be the hardest job as a coach, to bring those guys down to back to level, saying, hey, we've not won this game yet.
Sure.
Let's not celebrate until it's over.
Yeah.
So your bracket, you said you really didn't do a bracket.
I didn't. I think it's funny. I think we know everything when we're coaches and we have all the answers. But I find that since I've been coaching, my brackets have gotten worse and worse every year. I think I'd be better off if I was picking my favorite mascot.
Like a mascot playing of all the 64 teams? So if you had to do your bracket right now, 16 teams left.
Sure.
Who do you see in the Final Four?
Well,
and you can say Michigan, obviously. So, I think there's a good chance right now that Michigan's going to have it.
They got a good chance. I tell you what, I was watching Kansas, and I hadn't had a chance to see them play all year, and they were really impressive. They have the great guard on the perimeter. They have a great post player inside, and then they have Josh Jackson, who's one of the. He's a Detroit native, and he's one of the best players, if not the best player in the country. Definitely the best freshman in the country. So they were pretty tough. I think another team that I like is Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Yeah.
I've always been a huge Mark Few fan in Gonzaga. I think this might be the year that they actually get it done and get all the way to the Final Four. They got great balance. They got a great point guard. They got great talent. I think this might be the year they get it done. North Carolina, I think they have a great team. They're one of the top teams. And I think Michigan might be in the same region as Kansas, so I don't think I can pick them both. But
no. I'm 50-50 now because I picked North Carolina, but since Michigan's on the other side, they'll have to play North Carolina technically to get there. But I had North Carolina. Villanova, I actually had Villanova not to make the Final Four, so I was ahead on that one. But I do like the underdog teams. I like to see the Xavier get up there, but I just don't see them making it to the Final Four. It's going to be tough to get by Arizona, I think, and some of those other teams. So Michigan gets by Oregon.
Okay.
Then they go to that Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see from there? I mean, the momentum's just has to be non-stoppable, right?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for them is they're a team. You got to live by the 3 and you're going to die by the 3. If they can continue shooting at the level they've been shooting the basketball at, I think they can beat anybody in the country. And not only the fact that they shoot the ball, it's a threat to shoot the ball because they make you guard them differently than any other team in the country makes you guard them. They space the floor out more, which opens things inside for Wilson and their bigs. So I think the biggest key for them is just their ability to continue to make shots consistently. And if they do that, I don't think there's a team in the country that they can't beat.
And this team, I mean, obviously you're losing a few seniors, but you got some young talent that's going to step up next year and hopefully keep Michigan right where they're going to stay.
Yeah. I hope so. I think for them, I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure Coach would agree with this, is you got to replace your point guard. And you can never replace a senior point guard. You hope that the leadership comes from more than one guy. But replacing Walden and replacing Irvin, those are two big pieces of the puzzle for them. So those are going to be big shoes to fill. But like you said, they got a lot of young talent, a lot of people coming back. So we'll see. So
are you going to tell me you're who's going to win it all?
Oh man,
I'm gonna say Michigan right now. So
yeah?
I think the way Michigan's going, I'm still torn between North Carolina and Michigan, but I just cannot root against Michigan right now.
Yeah, well, I can't blame you on that. I think that's what I would be rooting for, but I think Kansas is the best team in the country right now. I think Kansas is the one that's going to get it done.
And real quick before we close, what's your plans now for the offseason with your team? What do? You start recruiting, you start looking at players to replace some of your seniors?
So we've already signed 3 players, all Michigan guys. And we have 2 more players that we have offers out to right now. But, we'll start focusing more on our team. We'll start lifting weights here in about 2 weeks, and then we'll in May 15th, we're allowed to start working with our guys again. Okay. So we'll do different camps. We'll do some practices. We'll do some things it'll be fun. I like the more time. You can never spend enough time with your team as a coach in our program. I just feel that this offseason is very important for us because when you have 20 wins, we've already raised the bar. You got to find a way to raise it again, and that going into next year, that's going to be our thing is can we raise the standard? Can we raise that bar just one more time?
All right, awesome. So we appreciate you coming today, being our guest here on Beyond the Highlights. On behalf of my co-hosts, Brian Musalam and Jason Strayhorn, we appreciate you stopping by here on Beyond the Highlights. And anytime you want to come back and we'll talk basketball and all that good stuff. And let's go blue.
I appreciate it. Thanks,
all
John.
right, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on Beyond the Highlights, and we'll see you next time.